Hey, yeah, we gon' big, gon' big. We gon' big, gon' big. We gon' big, gon' big. Don't trip, gotta get it how you live, hey, yeah.
Welcome to the Let's Think About It podcast, where high achievers stop performing and start transforming. I'm Coach Mo, certified core energy leadership coach, founder of the Inner Arena and creator of the S.W.A.G framework. Self-awareness, why power, aligned action, and grit. Around here, we train your mindset, challenge your limits, and turn pressure into purpose. Subscribe now and join me on YouTube at S.W.A.G Coaching. So let's get your reps in.
We gon' big, gon' big. We gon' big, gon' big. We gon' big, gon' big. Don't trip, gotta get it how you.
Welcome to another episode of the Let's Think About It podcast. I'm your host, Coach Mo, and I'm here with another amazing guest. His name is Daryl Dittmer. He's an entrepreneur and a sales and life trainer. He's here to bring a ton of wisdom with how he lead people and train people. Daryl, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, Coach Mo. Thank you. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing awesome.
Thanks for having me on.
Really excited to jump into a conversation with you. But before we do that, you got to tell us, where are you checking in from?
Currently, I'm checking in from the mountains of North Georgia. I originally hail from Detroit.
Okay.
And was born in Detroit, but I live in the mountains of North Georgia now.
How long you been in Georgia?
About almost 5 years. Right after COVID, we were in Massachusetts at the time and had some business interests, that kind of thing. And we decided, you know what, we're just going to pull up the rug and we're going to move and we're going to go. And one of the exciting things in life is, what can I do next? And it just opened up a whole what can I do next box. So it was great.
That's a great segue into my first question. Who are you, what you do, and what is the type of value that you bring?
Who I am is shaped by, in some measure, how I grew up, who I was. And I grew up in a very blue-collar family. My dad was a mechanic. My mom took care of us kids. And that was formative for me. My dad was also a Korean War veteran, so he was a fairly tough dude. My mom was also pretty tough. So that was from whence I came. It was all about work ethic. It was all about responsibility and taking care of your business. Put a lot of pressure on me as a young person to perform in sports and grades and manners, and which wasn't a bad thing, but there were certain things I just wasn't equipped to deal with. So fast forward to my early teens and I got involved in drinking and drugs, and I won't belabor that story, but that was also a very formative part of my life. I went into a drug and alcohol treatment program at the age of 19, and I was left with no other choice but to get it together and get my life together and move something forward, because you can take away the alcohol and the drugs, but if you don't change the person, you can go right back to that stuff. So I had to change the person, and that's what I decided to do. And I was fortunate to took risks. I jumped into things and got my nose busted, proverbially, and I went into things with abandon because I wanted a different life. And that happened for me over the course of time. Became successful in business and owned a few different businesses, which was great. What I try to do is I try to give back to the extent that I can, and to help people with life, to help people with their sales presence. I try to give back every day. Anybody I see on the street, anybody I'm walking by, the cashier at the grocery store, it doesn't matter. I want to be the person that shows up in the right way for life so that I can help others.
How does that convert over into the sales industry, right? And when we talk about executive presence, how does that correlate to everything that you just said into sales training, sales development? What does that look like?
What it looks like is, because normally what salespeople are trained to do is, here's your script, here's how you close, here's how you handle objections, outward stuff, right? And it doesn't address the fact that you're going to get hundreds of no's. You're going to get hundreds of rejections. You're going to have people hurt your feelings. You're going to have people tell you to go away and never come back. And if you have not gained some sturdiness in your being, and one of the things that I think is crucially important, Coach, is we have to understand what our why is. And that's
Yes.
that's probably number one. And I've got a 5-part training, but number one is I'm going to talk to people about their why. How big is your why? How expansive is your why? I've talked to some people. I'm like, what's your why? Why are you doing this? Why are you going to put yourself through all of this pain? And they're like, I might want to help some people with my mom needs some. And I'm like, no, I need a car and I get it. Those things are wise, but is that going to carry you through when you want to quit 100 times when you want to quit? And that's the key.
Yeah. Can I share a quick story about
Please.
that?
Love it.
I remember it's decades now, and I was in insurance coming out of college, and I was selling investments, life insurance and investment services, right? And just like you said, we had this script and you had to get out there and get your sales, right? I memorized the script, all of the technical things, I was on lock. But when it came time to pick up that phone and cold call, I avoided it, right? I avoided it. And back to your point, I didn't know what my why was back then. So think about it. In those moments, I wasn't trained in how to address my own executive presence, right? The meaning of when someone tells me no, that it's not a direct personal attack on Maurice Mabry, but it was a no towards maybe not right now. But in those moments, when I think back on it, I personalized it as they're rejecting me as a person. When I personalized it from that viewpoint, I felt bad. I felt guilty. I felt discouraged. So guess what I did? I avoided hearing no. Subconsciously, because when I think back to those moments, when it was time to make those calls, I had these ingrained excuses and distractions that prevented me from just making the call. I had to go organize my desk. I had to go get some extra trips to get some coffee for people in the office. Anything subconsciously to do to avoid making those calls. And I think that's something that's really not addressed, because when you look at sales training and you look at an organization that supports all of their team members to get the same exact training, everyone gets the same exact training, right? But yet only 5 to 10% are truly successful, and the other 80, 90% is mediocre, average at best. Why is that? It's the internal game. That's why. And so that's why I bring that up.
Yeah, I love it. And life insurance in particular is 90% of salespeople that start are not there a year later. That's one of the roughest ones, man. How are we built for it, right? How do we build ourselves for that? And how do we, sometimes it's as simple as expecting that I'm going to get my butt handed to me. Just knowing that's a possibility and that's probably going to happen. I'll just say real quick, Zig Ziglar, I think it was Zig Ziglar used to say, and I used to throw those cassette tapes in my car when I first got in sales because I wanted to hear all this stuff. But one of the things he said is whoever gets the most no's wins.
Yep.
That's what sales is.
Yep. What framework or system do you teach people in sales to utilize so that they can get over that hump?
I said the first thing is the why. We work that out. The second thing is understanding that there are, and I talk about this in one of my books, only one thing that we don't have any control over in this world, and that's called the nouns, and that's called people, places, and things, right?
Okay.
We don't have any control over people, places, and things. What we do have control over is our attitude, our effort, and our ultimate success or failure. And I 100% believe that we have control over attitude, effort, 100%, and ultimate success or failure. So the first thing is owning my story, owning my life as it regards sales, and how am I going to apply me to sales? The second thing is lean into the difficult stuff. I've done it just like you, coach. Seriously. I was talking to a kid the other day, and he was flabbergasted, and he was early 20s. He was flabbergasted that I said, you know what? You know when you're supposed to do prospecting? He's no. I said, on the weekend. I said, because during the week, if you're a salesperson, you got to be in front of other human beings, whether it's via email or Zoom call or physical presence or whatever it is, on the phone, doesn't matter. That's when you're in front of human beings. The weekends, you can work out the paperwork, depending on how committed you are. So anyway, I'll go through the other quick steps, but the next step is just setting up the disciplines and the habits that I will need to strengthen me so that I can withstand. And is it as simple sometimes as, you know what? Start making your bed every day. Disciplines for yourself. The next one is building relationships and learning how to build trust. And the way we do that is we understand, and it's difficult in today's age, that it's not all about me. It's all about them, all about everyone besides me. I remember literally eating potatoes because it was the cheapest food that gave me the most food, and looking for money in my car to get to the next appointment. But I couldn't carry that desperation into meetings. I had to make it about them. And then the next thing is, what does my enduring success plan look like? How am I going to treat myself on a daily basis so that I am sturdy enough to handle a long-term sales career? And that has to do with my health, has to do with my use of time, it has to do with my energy. All of those things matter completely to how sturdy I am for a sales career.
But how does implementing everything that you said shifts one's executive presence and how they trust self in the decisions that they make and the influence that they have in current environments?
I would say that as we develop ourselves, confidence comes. As we pay attention to how am I treating myself? How am I treating my body? How am I treating my mind? How am I treating my heart? How am I treating my soul? All of those things matter. How am I treating, and I'll say from a sales perspective, what does my prospect list look like? And do I have 400 people on my prospect list, or do I have 3? And do I have a current funnel that's almost empty, or is it full? How I treat all of those things is how I show up and how I look and how people believe that they can trust me. Because if I trust myself, people are going to automatically trust me. If I'm doing all of these things, if I'm doing them for myself, it shows. If I develop 1 or 2 small habits that contribute to me showing up in a different way in this life than I had showed up before. Maybe it's, you know what, I don't go out drinking on Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights. Maybe it's I sit home and read a book, or maybe it's I pull out one of those nights to do something different. Whatever it is, and simple as making the bed. Maybe I don't eat after 8 o'clock at night so that I don't wake up feeling like, oh man, that bag of chips not sitting well. All of those things contribute to a better me, to a better presence, to being more trusted, because I'm trusting myself with myself.
Bro, you're playing music to my ears right now because that mirrors S.W.A.G, my S.W.A.G framework: self-awareness, why power, aligned action, and grit. All of that, it starts with self-awareness, right? sales, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, because we are the executives of self first, right? And you have awareness of the thoughts that you naturally carry throughout the day. There's power because you can shift those thoughts. You just have to have the awareness that these maybe negative thoughts are in existence right now. And when they are in existence, guess what you have the ability to do when you know that it's present? Change it. It goes back to attitude. Your why power. We've already talked about that. Purpose, knowing your why. That's the driver of everything that we do, because it even correlates with your core values that you naturally carry. When those values are misaligned, guess how you feel? Down, discouraged, upset, triggered, angry, stressed. That's because your values are misaligned, which distracts you away from your purpose in that moment. So when you have purpose, guess what else happens? You have specific actions that you naturally know what to take to get you to your end goal. Because purpose is present, you have this feeling, you have this itch of just knowing, I need to do this to fulfill this purpose. And sometimes those actions can be as simple as, you know what, I need to meditate right now. You know what, I need to go outside for a break right now and just take it all in and come back. That's a very distinct action that can support your mental well-being in moments of high pressure situations. Just an example, right? Finally, the grit, having the discipline, the emotional stamina to know that this wave of discouragement, challenges is just going to bypass me. And I'm going to stick to my purpose and move forward. See, that's grit. That's swag. And when you carry swag, you naturally feel great about yourself. And when you feel great about yourself, that's executive presence. And when you have that executive presence, guess what? You're confident, your decisions are better, and you influence others. So it all works in unison with each other. And that's power. And that's why I'm excited to hear everything that you're sharing today, bro, because it mirrors swag. We come from different places. Our path to get to the best outcome that we're helping our clients get to, it comes from different pathways, but it's really the same message.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. And I love it. That means something very true about it, right? That's so important to me because, and just like you, Mo, we've had to build it over time. Stuff didn't happen when I was in my 20s.
Nope.
It started to happen in my 20s, and then it builds in your 20s and builds in your 30s and continues to build over time. But the confidence grows, the habits get better. If we're paying attention and we're committed to it and we're committed to our why, everything improves. And it's not that life gets any easier. It's that we get better and more sturdy, and we're able to handle the difficult things that life hands us, including in sales. But how do we deal with life outside of sales and still have success within the business world? And that's another part of building ourselves and understanding that life happens, man. And we've got a job to do, which is the grit, I think. We've got a job to do no matter what.
Yeah, you're spot on with that. And I also feel that we have to put a premium in developing self. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, because at the end of the day, everyone deals with similar judgments that you carry on self, because we are human beings, right? We naturally acclimate to environments and patterns from childhood, from our family, from our social economic status. All of these different filters shape our being and how we see the world, right? And if you continue to coast in autopilot, you start to lose control. in the personal development, professional development, coaching, counseling, whatever you want to call it, right? It really helps you create intentions on building your executive presence. Because as I said before, you are the number one executive of self first. And if you're not cultivating that, how can you possibly lead others at the highest level? How can you possibly be the best salesperson at the highest level if you're not locked in on executive presence and leading self first?
100%, man. Yeah, we moved out to the country when I was a kid. I was put to work early on farms and that sort of thing. And that helped develop my work ethic. And then I did carpentry. I ended up going to college, and I was the only person in my family that ever graduated from college. And that's neither here nor there, but I'm saying that to illustrate that there was a time when I couldn't look people in the eye. I wasn't confident in having a conversation. I wasn't there. And then I fast forward when I'm in my 30s and my 40s, and I'm having these big meetings on multi-million-dollar deals in downtown New York City. It's like, what am I doing here? There's this part of it, but I built myself intentionally, put myself in situations. I remember having literal panic attacks, losing my breath, feeling like I'm going to pass out, going into a sales meeting. That sucks. But moving through that, as opposed to if I went to run and hide, I would just have it happen again the next time. But you move through it, you go into the meeting, you do the best you can, and then you learn something and you come out. And then I had that experience, which is the tough part sometimes, but it works.
Yep. As we get ready to wrap this up, what lasting thoughts do you have?
It's really easy. And I did this when I was a young person. And this is what I want to teach young salespeople. I remember being in a place where I didn't have the confidence and I just didn't know what to do next. And it's really easy to say, oh, listen to these guys. You want to change everything all at once. And normally when a person wants to change everything all at once, they go out and they're a maniac for 2 weeks and then, oh man, I give up. So change one thing at a time and commit to yourself. First, get your why sorted out, but then start to change small things one at a time. Do what you can handle barely. You put yourself on the edge, but don't try to change too much. And over the course of time, your confidence will rise, your stress will fall away, life will change for you. And I think that's a very important thing for young people to hear.
That's great. I noticed a couple of books back there in the background. You want to tell us about your book before we get out of here?
Sure. Thank you. Thanks, Coach. So my first book is called When I Stop Fighting. And basically, it has a lot to do with what we've talked about today. It's my story. Stop fighting for yourself and not stop fighting for your life. It's stop fighting with yourself and stop fighting with your life. And I think there's a very important distinction there. That was one of my mentors gave me that great advice a long time ago, and I've been carrying it with me ever since. And 40 years later, I wrote a book about it. So my second book, so the first one is When I Stop Fighting. The second one is When You Stop Fighting. And that's not a memoir necessarily. It has a lot of my stories in it as well, but it's more looking at where maybe we're off the track, looking at where, am I addicted to things that I don't even know that I'm addicted to? Could it be comfort? Could it be attention? Could it be social media? Could it be places that I'm spending my life instead of spending my life in here? And learning to recognize that and understanding that if I keep, and just like you said, Coach, if I keep in here my first priority in the work that I do, my entire life is going to change right in front of my eyes. And that's really what my second book is about.
That's great. How can we find your books?
My books are both on Amazon. You can either type in my name, Daryl Dittmer, and Daryl Dittmer, Dittmer, type in my name or the name of the books, When I Stop Fighting or When You Stop Fighting. And they're on Amazon. You can go to my website, which is daryldittmer.com, and learn more about me and the things that I do.
That's great, man. I really do appreciate you being here, dropping these wonderful nuggets that you dropped. Great conversation. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Coach. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, man. I enjoyed it as well.
That's another rep in the inner arena. You didn't just listen, you leveled up your swag, self-awareness, why power, aligned action, and grit. If this hit home, share it. Subscribe to the Let's Think About It podcast and lock in with me on YouTube at S.W.A.G Coaching. Until next time, stay aware, lead with your why, act in alignment, and keep your grit strong.
Going big, going big. We going big, going big.